along with me. Breaking news, it's a thrill. Live chat, got time to kill. XP, we're breaking the mold. Special guests, stories untold. Unfiltered truth, no hidden clues. No suit and tie, it's all for you. Out of the newsroom, into the light. No suit and tie, it's feeling right. Unscripted moments, the host is scary. On Next News Network, we never vary. On YouTube, we're streaming live. On Rumble, the chat is alive. On X, we're trending high. And Main Street Media's dead, and we are why. Millions of followers, hear us out. Seen all over the world, there's no doubt. We are the future, shining bright. Join the raw feed every night. Out of the newsroom, into the light. No suit and tie, it's feeling right. Unscripted moments, the host is scary. On Next News Network, we never vary.
Welcome, Patriots, to the Raw Feed, and I hope you're sitting down because tonight's show promises some serious bombshells. Yeah, there is a massive rift that is developing in the MAGA movement, and this could be the end, folks. So do everything in your power right now and share this stream immediately. We need all hands on deck. I'm Gary Franchi. You know what sets us apart from every other show out there? We interact with you, the viewers, in our live chat, getting your real-time reaction to the day's news as it unfolds. You know, this is not just broadcasting, it's a conversation with millions worldwide streaming live on YouTube, plus our freedom fighters on Rumble and X. And let me tell you, we got some merch flying off the shelves, so head over to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and grab your Alligator Alcatraz gear, sports some President Otto Penn and rock our American Badass series, and show the world where you get your uncensored news. Now, before I dive into today's explosive topics, I want you to share the stream via text message. Why? Because we got some big news, and we need to bypass big text algorithms. For our ex-viewers, we're posting this show to your followers right now. We need every patriot spreading the truth. Speaking of spreading the truth, if you want to support the show privately, hit those donation links in the description. We are funded by you, not corporate overlords, and that's why we can bring you the news they don't want you to hear. And there's a lot of people who are not going to want to hear what we're going to say tonight. So here is something special, though. We will be reading your super chats and your Rumble rants between segments, featuring them on screen for the world to see. So send them in right now. Fill the Alex Jones was right jar before we even begin. Your voice does matter here, and we will amplify it. You can also join our YouTube channel memberships. Each level comes with exclusive perks. You'll receive special acknowledgement in the chat room, unlock behind-the-scenes uploads, and gain access to our members-only 24/7 Discord chat where the conversation never stops. Now, on this day in history, July 8th, 1835, the Liberty Bell cracked while tolling for Chief Justice John Marshall's funeral. That crack became a symbol of America's imperfect union, a nation always striving for freedom despite its flaws. Now, today, we're witnessing new cracks forming, but this time in the deep state's fortress of lies. Speaking of cracks in the system, wait till you hear about the missing minute from Epstein's cell footage. And yes, it wasn't even the right camera angle. Pam Bondi's DOJ just handed us partial views that conveniently miss everything that matters. And Donald Trump is reacting, and I think he's blowing this one big time. Meanwhile, former CIA officers are confirming our worst fears. The deep state probably destroyed the Epstein files. Is this incompetence or cover-up? Personally, I think they've got them in a nice little box ready to pull them out whenever they need them. But while they want you focused on what they're hiding, Trump just declared war on the Chinese Communist Party's farmland ownership. We've been tracking that for some time. We're talking about a complete crackdown on foreign entities buying up American soil, especially near our military bases. This is about food security, national security, and sovereignty itself. Then there's the showdown in Los Angeles, where Mayor Karen Bass physically tried to stop federal agents from raiding MS-13 strongholds in MacArthur Park. Yes, we covered that yesterday, but there is massive blowback happening. You know, she actually showed up demanding that they leave right now. And the Border Patrol chief's response, I don't work for Karen Bass. This is open insurrection against federal law, folks. And here is what Steve Bannon says is the real distraction. While we're talking about Epstein, there are whispers of mass amnesty deals being cut in the back rooms. However, Elon Musk has a different take on Steve Bannon that is sending shockwaves through the entire MAGA universe. We're going to dissect it all. Now, of course, there are some Republicans that might be caving on amnesty. Now, we voted for deportation, not capitulation. And there's also massive wins happening in Trump's big, beautiful bill, delivering no tax on tips, Social Security overtime. We're pulling in $300 billion in tariff revenue while prices are actually dropping. Netanyahu just nominated Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize after our B-2 bombers flew 37 hours straight in Operation Midnight Hammer. So make sure you're following us on all platforms, YouTube, Rumble, and X. The censors are actively working overtime, and we need you everywhere we broadcast. So today's show connects all these dots, from the Epstein cover-up to the CCP land grab, from Sanctuary City rebellion to secret amnesty deals, all while Trump reshapes America and projects strength worldwide. This is the news they're desperate to keep from you. So buckle up, Patriots. The Raw Feed starts now. Trust me, you do not want to miss what is coming next. Let's welcome you to the show. Who's here? We got David Walter. We got Michael Jones, Karen Finley in the house. We've got Elaine Casino. We've got Bev Moreno in the house. We've got TikTok, Loyalty to Truth, Andrea Timmers, Keith Doman, R. Hen, Peggy Driftmeyer, Fishman, American Ghost is here, Mike Brady, Blessed Mess, Lisa Smith. The gang is filing in. Wretched Family in the house. You guys make sure you share this because we got some big, the first topic of the show is gonna send some shockwaves through the MAGAverse. Jesse Cochran is here. Gary Hastings, Tony in the house. Michael Jones, who else is here? We're going to scroll back. Looks like we got a super chat. I see a super chat come through. Looks like the first super chat. Craig dropping it here. $10. Nebraska reporting for duty. Thanks, Gary, for all you do. God bless every patriot here. And God bless you for being the first one of the evening for the Alex Jones was right jar. Thank you for that. Okay. Who else is in the house? We've got Brian and Cindy and Gorian Lady. Everyone's here. Let's keep looking at we got R. Hen, Melanie, Jacob W. dropping $5 of a lemon character. Thank you, Jacob W. for that. We're going to put that right next to Craig's $10 bill. Appreciate Jacob for supporting the show. We got Susan. We got Keith. Sure, you in the house. Mikey, Mike. Yo, 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 yo in Detroit. Michael Hart. Peggy is here. We got Sky Czar. Trump was friends with Epstein. Well, let's be clear. Let's be very clear about that. The fact is, he was a member of his club for a short time, and then he got kicked out when he found out what he was doing. Yes, he did fly in the jet, but it wasn't for any trips to the island. It was casual trips back to New York when Trump's jet was not functioning. But we're going to get into some of that tonight, so don't go anywhere. We got Casey here, Dictum Factum, Eddie Cook. We've got Robert Segerton, Philip Bond, the one and only Ron the Don. We got 8-inch Destroyer, Michael Jones, Blessed Mess, Andrea, Matthew Tate, Maurice, Loyalty to Truth, Michael, and Mr. Wood. Jack Wood, I should say, is here. Okay, let's get to our trivia question because we got some news here. We need to get into it. But the first thing we do here, we got a trivia question. In 2008, which billionaire received a controversial plea deal for soliciting minors in Florida? 2008? Harvey Weinstein. A. B. Jeffrey Epstein. C. Keith Rainier. Or D. R. Kelly. I think we all know the answer to that one. So we'll leave it up to you guys in the chat room to weigh in on that answer. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up my dashboard for the live show so I can also keep track of what's happening on the sidelines during the show, because this is what we do here. Okay, let me see one more thing before we kick this off. I'm trying to give you guys some time so that you can share this out because this is the topic that is pretty explosive stuff coming down the pipe. So let me just change this here. Just got to do a quick customization. I want to make sure everybody sees what we're doing. In case they go to the front page of the YouTube channel, we can make sure that this stream is front and center for everybody if they go to the main channel page. Very important to do so. I'm changing out our behind the scenes video at NATO. If you haven't seen that, go into our channel and look for the behind the scenes. It's about an hour and 40 minutes of behind the scenes video from our NATO trip. Remarkable trip and stuff you'll never see anywhere else, but you will see it if you go and watch it on our channel. Okay, let's see. Can we get this thing clicked? Click. Okay, thank you. Click, click, click. Okay, we'll push that. All right. So let's go into our topic here. Oh, we got Dr. Luke the GOAT. I appreciate Gary. Alex Jones was right as much as Trump is winning. Dr. Luke dropping $20 in the jar. Thank you so much for your support right out the gate. All right, let's get this show on the road. They delivered footage with a missing minute from the wrong camera that doesn't even show the cell. And now they're telling you Jeffrey Epstein's case is closed. Nothing to see here. Move along. Now, former CIA officers are breaking ranks, confirming what millions have suspected. The deep state destroyed the evidence. And now Laura Loomer, she is leading the charge demanding Pam Bondi's resignation. Russell Brand connected the dots. Diddy walks, Epstein's buried, all within a week. And the timing isn't a coincidence. It is coordination. And of course, the Prime Minister of Israel is in town. And of course, there are 2.07 million posts trending on X demanding answers. The DOJ delivering theater instead of truth. So what are they so desperate to hide, and who is really pulling the strings? Keep watching. We have all the details. Now, you probably think your 401k is safe, but it wasn't designed to make you wealthy. It's built to shift retirement costs and risk onto you, leaving your savings exposed to crashes, inflation, and chaos. But Americans are waking up and taking control with real assets like gold. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands secure their future by converting part of their 401k into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties or headaches. It's safe, it's simple, it's smart. Visit nextnewsgold.com to get your free wealth protection kit and discover how to safeguard your savings. That's nextnewsgold.com, your exit from the danger zone. Link down below, or call that number on the screen, 877-646-5347, and ask them how you can get 2 5-ounce silver America's Beautiful coins with a qualified account. And when Colin picks up the phone, tell him Gary Franchi said hello. Okay, so we have some breaking news here. You know that missing minute. We found the missing minute. There it is. There is the missing minute of footage. Who is that? Oh, it's Hillary Clinton, right? Of course, I kid. This is one of the memes that has been floating around X. Obviously, AI generated, and it's amazing to see this, just how real it looks. I mean, the lighting and everything. But that's, of course, what people have alleged for quite some time, that Hillary Clinton and her ilk are behind what happened to Jeffrey Epstein, because we do know that Bill Clinton had an intimate relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, what's also equally interesting is we have this breaking news, okay? Roger Stone put this tweet out. He said this: why would Steve Bannon met with Jeffrey Epstein at both his New York home and in Paris after Epstein was convicted on sex crimes in Florida? Why would he coach Epstein for his 60 Minutes appearance? Now, this is Roger Stone, all right? This is the insider of all insiders asking a very serious question. Now, who replied to this? Elon Musk. This is the big bomb right here. Elon Musk is now declaring that Bannon is in the Epstein files. Now, if you think about that dynamic for just 1 minute, why would Elon Musk throw stones at Bannon? Well, we know that they've never gotten along. Bannon has never liked Elon Musk. Maybe Bannon was part of the team that got Elon Musk on the outs with President Trump. I don't know. But this is a very serious allegation that Elon Musk is declaring right here. And he's replying to Roger Stone. Okay, Taking a look at some of these other replies, we know Bannon is likely in the files purely because of the 15 hours of footage and interviews he did with Epstein in early 2009. Wonder when they'll be released. Megyn Kelly said 18 months ago, we'd hear from Epstein in a year. I always assumed it was Bannon's videos. Yes, we do know that Bannon interviewed Jeffrey Epstein. And isn't it strange that we've never seen that video? It's never seen the light of day. You would think somebody with Steve Bannon's pull and Steve Bannon's his reach would have released. I mean, I think we may have seen snippets here and there, but I mean, the financier at the center of all this, with a DOJ memo coming out, the 10 hours of footage being released, you'd think there would be something in there that Bannon would release. I'm really curious as to why he hasn't yet. But now Elon Musk making the declaration as clear as day, he's alleging that Bannon is in the Epstein file. So this is huge. And this is only going to draw a bigger wedge in the MAGA movement. Okay, Elon Musk, he started his own political party, the America Party. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. 4% last time we checked with his actual polling. But it gets even crazier, okay? Here's another post that Roger Stone put out. Why would Jeffrey Epstein associate try to help Robert Mueller send me to prison by perjuring himself at my trial? So Roger Stone, clearly not a fan of Steve Bannon. But, okay, we played this yesterday because this is all in the news, and we have to play it again because it does give proper context as to why we're not seeing any Epstein lists. Now, Truth Justice posted this, replying to Elon Musk 24 hours ago. This is why there are no Epstein lists and blackmail videos, because Epstein worked for Netanyahu and his Mossad intelligence agency. They have all the files and videos on very powerful elites and politicians all around the world, including in America. Now, this is not just me saying it. This is an official mainstream media news source. Okay?
This of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Now, as part of our investigation, we spoke to Ari Ben-Mashani, who is a former Israeli spy. He said on the record unequivocally that Jeffrey Epstein was working for Israeli intelligence operations, the Mossad, and running a classic honey trap operation. That is, lure people inside, record their activities and learn about their peccadillos and use it to blackmail them. This is a former spy on the record in the new book, Epstein, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Interestingly, this person was also the handler of Jeffrey Epstein's best friend and ex-girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. She was said to have been one of the women who helped procure the underage girls for Epstein. She has denied that. But her father was Robert Maxwell, a media and press baron who owned the Mirror News Group in England and also the New York Daily News. He was a former Mossad agent. And according to my source, Ari Ben-Mashari, the business that Robert Maxwell had was turned over to Jeffrey Epstein almost in a switch before Robert Maxwell died in mysterious circumstances off the back of a boat in 1991.
Well, this is mind-boggling stuff.
Mind-boggling. So we're going to keep digging a little bit deeper here. Now, here's another one from Elon Musk 5 hours ago. Now, I should point out, he made the Bannon allegation about the same time as this post. He says, how can people be expected to have faith in Trump if he won't release the Epstein files? Now, Donald Trump made a statement today at the cabinet meeting. And personally, I was kind of like, wait a minute. Like, he was deflecting. The question was brought up. I might as well just play for you because we have it here, among other things, in our list to get to. Here's the moment. President Trump and AG Pam Bondi respond to a question about Epstein.
American or foreign being Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the stabbing?
Yeah, sure. If I
Pam,
could,
could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second?
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
Okay, so here we have President Trump interjecting. The question was posed to Pam Bondi, trying to find out if in fact the allegations that have been presented, as we presented to you from mainstream sources, that Epstein was an intelligence asset. Now here we have, right in the middle of the White House, in the cabinet room, Pam Bondi asking the question. Trump interjects, why are we still talking about this? Well, because there's victims. There are, by their own admission, there are thousands of victims. So how can there be victims if there's no person to conduct the crime, right? And if those people are such high-powered individuals, if it all came out, it would just completely unravel. But at least we would have a clean slate to begin with. Now, why is Trump deflecting here? I don't know, and I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I mean, he promised to release the files. They all promised to release the files. And now Trump is saying, why are we still talking about it? Well, because now they say there's no list.
Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First,
it's yes. There's a time to talk about the success. There's a time to address the tragedy, but there's also a time to address a DOJ memo and 60 seconds of missing footage. Right? I mean, if you put this out there, people are going to ask questions. And finally, we have a reporter asking the question. Let's go to Pam.
to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file, along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively, the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
Okay, so we're going to find out if that's the case. I mean, but it's raising a hell of a lot of questions, right? A lot of questions. I mean, who can ever forget this?
Case, it is, but in this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it good? We have names that will come out, but they said there are no names. None whatsoever. Laura Loomer is on a tear. 8 hours ago, we need an investigation into Pam Bondi. She has completely undermined the Trump administration and direct statements made by both President Trump and J.D. Vance. AG Pam Bondi should be fired. Seems like she doesn't want people inquiring about why she let Epstein get away with what he did when she was the AG of Florida during the time he was doing those things to kids in Florida. J.D. Vance. He was quote tweeting Jack Posobiec. Jack Posobiec says, are you paying attention yet? The DOJ and Ghislaine Maxwell lawyers have made a deal that her little black book of contacts will never be made public. And he was citing the Times UK. This is December 30th of 2021. J.D. Vance, back then, in 2021, quote tweeting him, what possible interest would the U.S. government have in keeping Epstein's clients secret? Oh? And he says, and J.D. Vance says, if you're a journalist and you're not asking questions about this case, you should be ashamed of yourself. What purpose do you even serve? I'm sure there's a middle-class teenager somewhere who could use some harassing right now, but maybe try to do your job once in a while. This was posted in 2021. So the sentiment has been there to release this information. Laura Loomer rips AG Pam Bondi over Epstein files. She was always lying. Here she says, please join me in calling for Blondie to resign. How many more times is this woman going to get away with effing everything up before she is fired? And then now we have Tucker Carlson. Okay, just 10 hours ago, right on cue, why is Pam Bondi's Justice Department covering up Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and murder? Cigar and Jetty has a theory. Okay, so, I mean, there's so much to unpack here. We're already 17 minutes into this clip, but I want to try to find something here that we can unpack for you. Let's see. The future of Iran. Let's see. The moment Singar. Okay, the real reason she won't release the files.
People don't matter in this case.
Man, I think this, for a bunch of reasons, it's so obvious. It is salacious. People have followed it for years. The president promised to reveal the truth about this. Pam Bondi, as you said, went on television and said, we have the truth and we're going to give it to you.
Yes.
I think this is a big deal. It's a really big deal. It's bigger. So. I hope so too, actually. So let's just assess this logically. They're covering up, the DOJ, the current DOJ under Pam Bondi is covering up crimes. Very serious crimes by their own description. Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
So there are really only two potential explanations that I can think of. Maybe you've got another. The first is that Trump is involved, that, Trump is on the list, that they've got tape of Trump doing something awful. I don't believe that for two reasons. One, I've talked to Trump about it a lot, and I know him. He's not that, for whatever his sins, I don't think he's that guy, actually. I don't think he likes creepy sex stuff. That's just my view. But more, I think, convincing is that this is all information that the Biden administration had. And if there was evidence that Trump had been involved in illegal sexual activity, you think the people who made up Russiagate wouldn't have leaked it?
Right.
Come on now. So the only other explanation that I can think of, again, maybe you've got another, is that intel services are at the very center of this story,
Bingo.
U.S. and Israeli, and they're being protected. I think that seems like the most plausible.
That's the most obvious. I have a history of this. There have been multiple documented cases of pedophilia inside of the CIA perpetrated by CIA officers, documented in many of those cases. I believe over a dozen cases. This was a BuzzFeed news piece years back where the CIA specifically did not want to prosecute those individuals in federal court for fear that they would reveal sources and methods if they were pulled into open court, and they basically just made it go away. The only time they actually prosecuted somebody for child pornography was whenever he'd already being prosecuted for mishandling classified information.
Well, when they want to crush you, they put kiddie porn in your computer. It's why I don't have a computer. Don't own one.
Yeah, if you're an important person, you should be careful.
No computer in my house.
This is an important thing, though, is that we already have documented cases of them covering this up. I believe the CIA Inspector General, I forget the exact quote, but he said something along the lines of, you wouldn't even believe the amount of child porn, that I've seen.
So there you have Tucker and Cigar and Getty proposing a theory. Here we have this. The former CIA officer, Jesse Waters, posting this 22 hours ago. A former CIA officer has just come out and said the deep state probably destroyed the Epstein files.
I'm not blaming the FBI director, Kash Patel, or the deputy director, Dan Bongino. I think that layer beneath them, that's part of what we like to call the deep state, has taken this bull by the horns, and they've probably destroyed information. Look at what the CIA did in 1975 after Congress ordered that it release all of its files related to an operation called MKUltra. The director of the CIA went back to headquarters and ordered everything to be destroyed. And in the end, only about 20% of the documents survived. We're still learning about the FBI's operations against Martin Luther King 55 years after the fact. So now we're supposed to believe that everybody's telling the truth, that there were no files, there were no dossiers. I'm sorry, I just don't buy it because I know how these people operate. I'm not blaming.
There you have a former CIA operative. Now, here's a clip we did to yesterday. Now, this was brought up in yesterday's press briefing with Caroline Leavitt. Now, I want to point out there's a lot of people online who pointed, Caroline Leavitt always wears a cross during her press briefings, and they said that, well, the cross was absent in this specific briefing. And this is what people are saying. They're saying that she didn't wear the cross because she knew she was going to be lying about Epstein. Take it as it may, but this is the question that was posed at the press briefing yesterday. We didn't get to. Here it is.
They put out a memo.
Caroline, the DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and happened.
Caroline, the DOJ and FBI have now...
So more deflection. Here it is. This is trending. Epstein trending 2.07 million posts and climbing. So this is the number one topic everybody is discussing. Everyone wants answers. Now, here's Glenn Beck's take. He's saying that Pam Bondi should resign, not because of cover-up, but for incompetence. He says not only is there a minute missing from the Epstein cell video, but it wasn't even the right angle. What the DOJ gave us was a partial view of the facility, which just misses Epstein's cell. So let's hear what Glenn Beck has to say.
The more and more
is if the jump in the tape wasn't incompetent enough for you. Listen to this one. Jason is here with us. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Glenn. What a morning. Wow.
Mm-hmm. What a morning it is. Okay, so Jason, what else have you found?
Okay, so the more and more we looked at this tape, I started looking. It was just weird because it looked like a janitor's closet. So door 46.
Janitor's closet.
And you were like, shut up. This is not a janitor's closet. I don't know what this is. Well, I was like, I can tell you there's a woman that looks like a janitor that comes out of supposedly the person, there's this cell that they're saying is his cell, which they're not, by the way. This was like people on social media were saying this was the cell. Is coming out with a trash can. So I looked around to see if there was any confirmation on what the cell was. And I found an OIG report from the Justice Department 2 years ago that shows the camera angle and the one camera that was actually working. So you can see the diagram, and I think we actually have it if you're watching this right now. There's a diagram that shows where this camera is. It shows where Epstein's cell is. And the big thing that stands out, Glenn, is this camera doesn't even have eyes on Epstein's cell at all. Like, not at all.
That's incredible.
4 different wings here. There is a service wing, and that's what we're looking at with that door 46. That's like a service entrance or staff entrance. Now, you can't see on the lower level Epstein cell at all. So this is what makes it look even crazier for that 1 minute that's missing. And I will say that, let me just say it this way. I've spent years and years and years looking at surveillance and security camera footage, as you know, in my previous job. I've never seen an over 1 minute jump right at a time that would be very, very, I don't know, just convenient. I've never seen that before in all my years looking at these things.
There's no reason. Why do you say that minute would be convenient? You're just saying that 1 minute being gone is convenient. You're not saying that particular minute
it's
is
convenient
important. We don't.
In this entire time frame based off of this camera angle. So it's convenient, like, let's say 60 seconds would be great for someone walking across that lower level. 60 seconds would be perfect for if you wanted to like conceal the fact that someone walked across that area. That's why it would be convenient.
Here's why I didn't buy into this at first. Okay, 60 seconds to get in and open the door and then kill him and then leave. Okay, but look at the diagram. If you look at the diagram where the camera is, there is maybe a foot space where the camera is not able to see where there is a door from the staff area. Okay?
Are you looking at, because I think it's hard to tell from this, are we looking at, is this diagram the top floor or the bottom floor? Jason, do you have any idea?
So it looks like Epstein. So I think Epstein's cell is on the same,
right?
it's on the
This is
top
his
floor.
floor,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the stairs would
These
be
are the upper floors, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm looking at where the staff area is. Okay. See the yellow triangle.
Yes.
And the red box where it's his cell. Okay. So there is one way out of the staff area, and it's right below the camera.
Like underneath the floor, essentially, of where the camera is.
Yeah, on the floor. If the camera's up on a ceiling, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the camera's like, the camera is
from above,
from
on
a
the
second
ceiling.
floor, shooting down, and you can what the evidence that they're basically proclaiming here, and this is true. You know what Jason's saying is true, that you can't see the door of the Epstein cell. What you can see is a common area that, in theory, you would need to cross to get to the cell. What you're saying, Glenn, is the camera doesn't actually show 100% of the potential paths to get there,
it
right?
doesn't.
Like you could if you cross right in front of the banister here on the bottom floor, there's no way you're
going to see.
Right.
Okay, so wait a minute. So I just want to make sure. We are talking about the same thing. If you look at the videotape, it's the white room downstairs, right? So it's where the garbage can is down there.
Below
so
that.
Epstein's room would be below the garbage can.
No, the Epstein's room, if you look out, if you the area that you can see, and I apologize for radio listeners here that aren't seeing this visual, but I want to make sure we get this right. There's an open area where the banister is like and it shows the common area behind it, right?
Okay.
If you go to the...
Okay, so basically, I'm going to make this large because they're just running on here. Okay, that red box, Epstein cell, and if you're like basically facing out of the cell, directly to the left is what he's referring to. Directly to the left, if you're standing facing out of the cell, directly to the left in that white area that's not highlighted by the yellow triangle, there is what he believes is an area where somebody could enter or exit without being seen by the camera. That is what I believe Glenn Beck is trying to get at here by analyzing this. Now, we have some other people. Okay, so look, here's Ben Shapiro. All right? Now, normally, there's a lot of things I like about Ben Shapiro. He says a lot of great things, but he's missing the mark here. I mean, he is clearly carrying water for the intelligence agencies, the DOJ, and the like. Ben Shapiro says the Department of Justice has put the Epstein mystery to rest, declaring there was no client list, no blackmail scheme, and no shady fortune and no murder. According to Shapiro, Epstein didn't make his money through nefarious means and didn't target powerful people. Really, Ben? Really, dude?
Open questions here. We now have the answers. And the problem is this.
Here is Ben Shapiro.
We now have the answers. And the problem is this. People who never hedged their bets, people who never at any point suggested to you that they don't have data to back up the speculation, that the speculation was in and of itself the conclusion that if you speculate without evidence, that amounts to an actual conclusion to an investigation, they're going to be very upset today because it turns out that the DOJ and the FBI have concluded that Epstein didn't have a client list and died by suicide, according to a memo detailing the findings obtained by Axios. Now, again, does this put to bed like all inquiries? Of course not. People can continue to speculate as much as they want. And I think there's still open questions here regarding how did Epstein make his money? Right, that's a very serious open question. And the speculation for a long time was he made his money from blackmail. But the DOJ and the FBI, again, run by people like Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are telling you, I'm not telling you, they're telling you, people who are members of the Trump administration, people you elected and put into these positions to get you the truth on this matter, are telling you that he didn't, in fact, he was not murdered. He did not keep a client list. And he did not blackmail powerful figures. Okay, right? That is the thing that they are saying, not I. They are saying this. If you're willing to throw that over and claim they're lying, then I'd like to see you present your evidence that they are in fact lying. Because I know Dan. I don't think that Dan Bongino is lying to me. I know Kash Patel a little bit. I don't think Kash Patel is lying to me. I don't think these people are lying to me. Which means that if somebody else continues to claim that they're lying, they ought to provide their evidence at this point. And now is the point at which the facts on the ground have changed. And so either you ought to shift your opinion based on the facts that have now emerged, or you ought to acknowledge that this was never a fact-based inquiry in the first place.
And remember the Pentagon video on September 11th. They only released 5 frames of video. Yeah. Okay, let's go to Russell Brand. He's connected the dots with Diddy. It's interesting that both the Diddy and Epstein cases were resolved within a week of each other, concluding with no wrongdoing officially found. Could Diddy have made a backdoor deal to keep quiet? Seems likely. Could a similar deal have been struck to keep the Epstein list sealed? And I do want to point out all this is happening as the Prime Minister of Israel is in Washington, D.C., confirming perhaps that the operation has now been closed.
Spaces. Where's that list? Where's the list,
you
baby?
Think the timing of the Diddy this and no list, is it sort of like a shift? Like, hey, all that stuff that was kind of building up, these people are doing all this crazy stuff behind closed doors, and now it's almost like none of it happened. That wasn't a thing.
I think that you can tell when it gets near real power. I've known this for a while because I've been working in regular media, you might call it, films, TV, print journalism, podcasts, a variety of media, live media. And I've migrated into different spaces as I kind of trusted instincts that worked as a comic. Oh, just tell the truth, and just tell the truth about what you feel. You know, you can look at my stand-up. It's all out there. This is what, like, and I've always been kind of somewhat anti-establishment. So what I'm starting to sense is that as you get near real power, the risks increase. That's what I believe. So per your point, Jake, about the Diddy case and the Epstein list, a lot of people believe that Diddy may have been able to cut some kind of deal to just keep his mouth shut and not say who was at those parties that may have been embarrassed. You guys look at the same media we look at. You see the kind of things that are said on X. You know the kind of people that are likely on the Epstein list. Do you imagine that there's a point where the powerful, their interests consolidate? Let me give you a really clear example. During the First and Second World Wars, and particularly the First, the British royal family and the German elites were intermarried and interconnected. Queen Victoria was married to a German. So while the population were literally killing one another in the most sort of brutal form of warfare imaginable and conceivable up to that point, industrialized warfare had gone from sort of analog warfare to mechanical, brutal warfare. Like, the elites were still interconnected and intercommunicating, i.e. there's a strata of society where your economic and social ties transcend national ties. I mean, and why wouldn't they? Like, if you're super rich and you're able to travel around the world, go anywhere, do whatever you want. Like, do you remember during COVID, like, just celebrity parties carried on and people went to islands and had weddings and stuff while other people were getting shouted at for not wearing a mask in a supermarket? That was an indication that society is stratified. The thing that's interesting about socialism is it's saying that in order to control corporate and commercial global power, we need to empower the state and make the state responsible and responsive to the people. But it never does that, does it? So that kind of socialism that's born out of industrialization is over. That's never going to work again. We need a new form of politics and government where your individual conscience can somehow be mapped onto what happens in your family, your community, your tribe, your nation, if necessary. But I would interrogate each one of them taxonomies and categories. What do you mean nation? Do we really need a nation? So returning to the question that Jake offered us, like, do you think deals have been done? Yeah, because Ghislaine Maxwell is otherwise in jail for trafficking children to nobody at all. All of them rumours we've heard are likely outlines and foreshadowing of some kind of truth. Where's that list?
Where is the list? Check this out. Michael Schellenberger, okay, and General Mike Flynn. Okay, General Mike Flynn says, I have a lot of respect for anyone who stands up to serve our nation, but when one does, you need to remember it is the American people you work for. The Epstein affair is not going away. An early lesson learned for everyone regarding this affair: elites don't give a hoot about children, you or anyone for that matter. There are two standards of justice in our country. One for the elites, I include the Uniparty in this club and another standard for everyone else. Today was another brutal and stark example of the two different standards we appear to adhere to in the United States. This has to change quickly. And he tags real Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, and he quote tweets Michael Schellenberger. Michael Schellenberger, an amazing investigator and author. He writes an article for Public saying this is a total effing disaster. This is a disaster for the Trump administration and how they are handling this, in my opinion. He says, this is a total effing disaster. A senior person in the intelligence community told us today in response to our questions about Justice Department cover-up of the Epstein files. If people think it's going to go away, the official added, I don't see how it can. And it's not going to go away. Everybody and their mother are weighing in on this. The ties are deep. Here's another one. Another clip from Tucker Carlson. Even Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz said, everyone was lying about Jeffrey Epstein's death. There's no way the story you're getting is the real story. I actually think that on Epstein, it was a foreign government that took him out. Wall Street Ape says that is why Gaetz wasn't allowed to be Attorney General. Here's another clip from Tucker Carlson. Listen.
Took two. Wait, what are you talking about? I thought we could all sleep well at night now knowing that Epstein legitimately killed himself, right?
What was that?
Did that just come out?
It's just two guys that I really like. I mean, I love Bongino, but he's a friend of mine. But you weren't convinced by that?
No.
Why?
I mean, just I've dug into that, and it's just so spooky what's going on with that, and how nobody. I mean, how do you charge a guy with sex trafficking when there's no end users that have been charged? Who did he traffic to?
Well, it's a great question. I don't know. You got me on that one.
I mean, right? How do you charge him with that if there's no? I mean, if that's where the trail starts, where does it end? We haven't. So, I think there's just a lot more going on than the majority of people know about.
What do you think that was?
What do I think it was?
Yeah,
I think it was a blackmail operation. What do you think it was?
I think it was a blackmail operation run by the CIA and Israeli intel services, and probably others. You know, French intelligence always has a hand in everything, I've noticed. So probably them too. You know, but the usual, darkest forces in the world colluding to make rich and powerful people obey their agenda.
I mean, look though, I don't understand why nobody has come out on it. Nobody has come out on it. Right? I mean,
I'll tell you why, because they're all on the list.
Because if you paint the scenario, I mean, you get on a jet, maybe you're totally innocent, you don't know what's going on, two hot women come out of the whatever stewardess place, come out, and one thing leads to another.
Yes.
I mean, and then what happens? They go, oh, we got you. You're on camera. And by the way, these girls are 15 or 16 or whatever the hell they were, right? And, but I mean, yes. If you're a married guy, it's pretty fucked up that you're doing that. But I mean, it's nothing new under the sun. So why wouldn't you just scream blackmail at the top of your lungs? Like, I didn't know this is what happened, and just come clean on it.
Why do you think?
Because they're repeat customers.
Yeah. Because they're so deeply implicated that they can't actually get out of it.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
They're all in on it. So, if you got value from this report, tap subscribe, because my final thought is right now. So this matters because justice delayed is justice denied. And when the DOJ can't even deliver the right camera angle, when they conveniently lose the most critical minute of footage, when former CIA officers openly admit evidence was destroyed, we are not witnessing incompetence. We are watching a cover-up in real time. The most connected predator in modern history with ties to presidents, princes, and power brokers, and Somehow there's no client list, no blackmail operation, just a coincidental fortune in a private island where nothing happened. Okay? Photos of children with Epstein, they're meaningless. 2 million Americans trending the story are just conspiracy theorists. So here's the question. Do you believe that Pam Bondi should resign over this failure? Yes or no? And even more importantly, what is your reaction to President Trump interjecting and changing the subject when that reporter asked that question? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. And while you're fired up, hit our merch shop. It's linked down below. We got Alligator Alcatraz, President Otto Pen, Trigger a Liberal today by visiting shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Wow. I mean, I think I covered all of it. I mean, there was so much to get to. I didn't get to play the Gates clip. I got the Russell Brand. I got pretty much all of it here. So, oh my goodness. Okay, we got Fishman dropping $5 in the jar. What does he say? I've been saying this for years. Justice equals just us, Gary. This is a sad time for our country. I hope you're doing good tonight, my friend. Well, thank you, Fishman. We are doing great here at the Next News Network. Thank you, everyone. We're not done yet. Don't go anywhere. We're going to get you the answer to that trivia question and find out if you guys are correct. The answer was, in fact, B. It was Jeffrey Epstein who received a sweetheart deal from Florida prosecutors, serving only 13 months with work release privileges. So, well done. Well done. Okay, don't go anywhere. Here's our next trivia question. Which president warned about the military-industrial complex acquiring unwarranted influence? A. Harry Truman, B. Dwight Eisenhower, C. John F. Kennedy, or D. Richard Nixon? Well, this is an easy one for me. I'm going to say Dwight Eisenhower in that famous presidential address. I've seen it a million times. But you guys can weigh in with your own answers in the poll or in the chat or in the comments below. So let's jump into our next story of the evening. While the media obsesses over every tweet and the left melts down over tariffs, something revolutionary is happening. Tax cuts so massive that Democrats refuse to cast a single vote. Infrastructure actually getting fixed in months, not decades. Imported goods prices are falling while tariff revenue soars past $300 billion. Veterans finally getting respect. Kids escaping failing schools. And Netanyahu just nominated Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. This isn't just another spending bill. It's a complete transformation of how America operates, from your paycheck to your kids' education, from the airports you fly through to prices you pay at the checkout. Everything is changing, and the establishment is terrified that you will notice. Stay tuned. Now, as Trump's big, beautiful bill transforms America with historic tax cuts and real infrastructure fixes, it's time to transform your child's education as well. Remember, freedom is never more than one generation from extinction. That is why the Tuttle twins created the most effective Liberty First content for kids. This is their monthly magazine. It teaches children about economics, liberty, and responsibility through comics, activities, and real-world lessons that counter the woke indoctrination in schools. While Trump fights for school choice, you can choose freedom education today. Right now, subscribe a loved one, a niece, a nephew, a grandchild, a son or daughter for just $56 a year. That's pennies for planting seeds of freedom. The TuttleTwins.com/next. It's linked below. Don't let your child be indoctrinated. Teach them to think. And we thank the Tuttle Twins for supporting this program. Okay, so we've got a lot of news to break down in this segment of the Raw Feed. We have let's just jump right into it. There was a cabinet meeting today, a lot unfolded, and Education Secretary McMahon weighed in on the big, beautiful bill, talking about scholarships for kids.
Could I just ask Linda, she's involved in so much, she's so talented and so good, and she's working on a couple of little things like Harvard, who was given $5.5 billion over a short period of time. We caught him on that one. It's crazy, but you're working on so much. You want to bring education back to the states. How are you doing?
Well, absolutely, and thank you for the opportunity. I think on the big, beautiful bill, what we saw, with school choice, that's finally on a national basis at the state level, but there are opportunities now for scholarships, more and more of them for kids who are in failing school. This is going to be a big turnaround. I think one of the biggest accomplishments we had over the past week was the University of Pennsylvania with the Title IX ruling that Leah Thomas was stripped of her title, Riley Gaines and Paula Scanlon and other women who have stood so strong against men and women's sports. And when you put out the the executive order, that just solidified it and gave them the opportunity. So those are a couple of really, really big wins, and thank you for that opportunity.
And how are you doing with Columbia and Harvard?
We're negotiating hard. I think we're getting close to having that happen. It's not wrapped up as fast as I wanted to, but we're getting there.
Okay, good. And you've done a fantastic job. Thank you very much.
It's been a good team.
Yep, you have a great team.
Around this table, a lot of people help.
Let's keep going here. Here is President Trump on Jerome Powell, of course, the Fed chair.
Too tall, John. I think he's terrible. I think, look, we're paying, I call him Too Late. T-O-O, Too Late. Like Too Tall Jones for the Dallas Cowboys, right? Too late. He's always late. But he wasn't late with Biden before the election. He was cutting him like crazy. It didn't help too much, did it? But he was cutting him like crazy before the election with Kamala and Biden. He was trying to get them in, I guess. I don't know. He was recommended by somebody that worked for me. I like you better. I think he's terrible.
I like you better. Who was he looking at? Yeah, here's more President Trump talking about the big, beautiful bill.
The great, big, beautiful bill. I always use the word great. I add that to it because it really is what it is. Never been anything like it, actually. And I want to thank all the Republicans.
Okay, so I just asked you, who was he looking at when he said, I think you're great? And he looked right across the table at the Treasury Secretary, Bessent. So is the Treasury Secretary in the running for the Fed chair if Jerome Powell is out? Looks like he is a strong contender. I mean, right there, you can see the eye line. Boom. Okay, sorry, I digress. I just noticed that because of what he said in the last clip. Let's continue.
That voted for it, and I want to, scold the Democrats because they're voting for tax cuts. They're voting for no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and many, many other things far more important than that. Great health care. And frankly, every Democrat should lose their election because it was purely political vote. They were told not to vote for it. So think of it. We got 218-2, and then with the Senate, we had 50-3. Democrats didn't vote at all. Not one positive vote. With all of the good things in there, economic development money, tremendous border money. Now you're loaded up on the border, and I don't think we're going to need so much of it because we had zero come in last month, so I'm not sure how much of it we want to spend. You may think about that. You may actually think about saving a lot of money because the wall's been largely built, and it obviously worked. But you may want to think about that. But so I think it's incredible when I watch the Democrats, and they have standard lines like they had Russia, Russia, Russia. They had the laptop from hell. It all came from Russia. They make things up and they go with it and they feed it to you people in many cases. And they said, here's the line. And I hear the new line is death. Oh, it's death. Everyone's going to die. There's nothing to do.
What?
You said people are going to die?
With that. In fact, we're saving our country. Death is from allowing 25 million people into our country, of which 3 or 4 are stone cold, hard criminals. 11,888 are murderers, many of them committing more than one murder. That's death, and the Democrats did that. Joe Biden did that by allowing people to come in here, just totally unchecked, unvetted, open borders, open borders. The whole world was dumped into our country, from prisons, from gangs, from mental institutions. We had many people walking the streets, walking in areas that we don't know anything about, that came out of insane asylums. They released their the insane asylum population into our country, and it's amazing the job that you and Tom Homan are doing, by the way, on that.
Moving right along, here is the Treasury Secretary talking about $100 billion in tariff income.
And that's, yes, sir, we will take in about $100 billion in tariff income thus far this year, and that's with the tariffs, the major tariff not having started till the second quarter. So we could expect that could be well over $300 billion by the end of the year. We don't agree with CBO scoring, but for those who do, the CBO scored tariff income over the next 10 years at $2.8 trillion, which we think is probably low. Yes, sir, we will take it in about.
The Council of Economic Advisors, the official account, they say research finds that the price of imported goods have fallen and declined faster than overall goods since February. Here is the chairman, Steve Moran.
Advisors website. So a new work that our team has done, that'll be on the Council of Economic Advisors website today, what we did was we looked at, in every category in the inflation index, we looked at how much of it is coming from imports, both whether the good itself is an import, but also whether it, uses intermediate goods, that is parts in between the raw product and the finished product that come from abroad. And so we have a measure for each product in the index about how much of an import it is. And what we find is exactly what you said before, that imported goods are actually getting cheaper. So a new...
Yeah, that's exactly the opposite of what the mainstream press had to say. All the fear tactics. Here's Secretary Duffy talking about the delays at Newark Airport.
Delayed. So we saw the slowdowns and delays at Newark. It was because we had an old line, a copper wire line that kept going down. In 2 months, Griff, we laid, with the help of Verizon and L3 Harris, brand new fiber lines. So we have all the appropriate lines to keep communication alive and well. We had a couple moments where we lost communication out of the TRACON that controls Newark for 30 seconds. That's frightening. We have a whole bunch of redundancies in place to make sure our passengers and our aircraft are safe. But it's a big deal. And it just shows how fast companies in America are working with the FAA to make sure we do this build. And by the way, in the big, beautiful bill, we're going to do this all over the country. The Congress gave us the money to lay fiber and replace all of the copper, which is incredibly important. And by the way, this would have never happened but for the leadership of President Trump. We saw the division. I spent 10 years in Congress. There was not a lot of agreement on a lot of the issues. Right. And it was the force of nature of Donald Trump who drove this across the finish line. And this is one small part that's incredibly important to make sure we can start to rebuild our air traffic control system. So,
Thankfully, we have some competent people working now. Here's Secretary of Veteran Affairs cutting through the fake news theatrics on the reforms at the VA.
Also media. Well, I'm happy to talk about this because, in contrast to the theatrics that many of the Democratic members of Congress and also media, unfortunately, and others in the unions talked about when we first started out on what we'll be looking at our overall force structure. We did a very thoughtful, very careful study of looking at our force structure and how we were structured and how we were aligned to take care of veterans. And the great thing I can report to you now is a promise that I made back then and a promise I kept, that the original 15% was a goal. We were going to make sure that we took care of veterans, we took care of disability claims, and we made sure that there was a seamless process. And in the process, we also protected 350,000 positions to make sure that none of those services were cut. And in the end, what we've done is we've been able to use the attrition, use the deferred retirement plan to actually get us to our goal of making sure that we're more aligned with what we need to be doing, and that is taking care of veterans from day one. I'm very proud of the work that we've done, the very careful work that was done by the staff and the career employees at the VA to continue to look at how we are structuring our force. Now, we still got a little bit to go. We've got some other things that we want to do in the future, but this is a great start, and it's making sure our veterans are taken care of.
It's good news all around, and I love it. Finally, some good news to report for a change. Here we have Representative Greg Steube talking about what we can expect by January of next year.
all the different. But what's going to be interesting is by January of next year, the impacts of this bill, no tax on tips, no tax on manufacturing, all the different permanency of the tax rates that we did in this bill, the American people are going to be seeing that early next year, especially the tax credit we gave for those on Social Security. And it's going to have a huge economic impact to the electorate. And the Democrats keep wanting to say this is a tax cut for billionaires. Billionaires aren't making tips as they're waiting on tables at restaurants. Billionaires aren't on Social Security. And so these impacts to the American people, the working class of the American people, they're going to see this, and it's going to be a huge economic impact to not just the country, but to the Republican base because of the policies that the president passed. But what's going to...
But how can you...
And let's see, we got here. Well, the Biden administration practiced strangulation by regulation. President Trump is slashing the red tape to bring in more capital and lower prices for America. Secretary Doug Burgum.
Regulation. Biden administration's strangulation by regulation was very effective at one thing, driving capital away from developing on federal resources. And this, by us cutting this regulation, we can actually lower the break-even point for people in the oil and gas industry developing, because at a lower price per barrel, they can still make money, because I think we can cut at least 10% of the price of a barrel right now on federal land is regulatory overhead cost.
If you have value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So why does this matter? Because results beat rhetoric every single time. Democrats screamed that tariffs would destroy the economy. Okay? Instead, we're collecting $300 billion while import prices drop. They said the tax cuts would bankrupt America. Instead, business is flooding back and paychecks are growing. They claim infrastructure was impossible. Yet Newark Airport went from ancient copper to cutting-edge fiber in 2 months flat. No tax on tips, Social Security, where overtime means real money in real pockets for real Americans. School choice means parents, not bureaucrats, control education. Well, Biden spent $7.5 billion on EV chargers to deliver exactly 7 stations. Trump's delivering actual infrastructure that works. Even Netanyahu sees it, nominating Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize after witnessing real leadership. So here is the question. Should Democrats who voted against every tax cut, should they be voted out in the midterms? Drop your yes or no down below. And grab your next news gear from our shop. We've got Alligator Alcatraz, brand new merch. We got President Otto Penn and our American Badass series. You need to check it out. I think you'll like it. Trigger a Liberal today. Linked below at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Okay, we got some super chats here from Studio 0530. $2. To hear Gary go, Ree. All right, there you go. You win. You win. You win this time. Okay. Thank you for that support. And taking a look at our trivia question. You guys are on fire in the chat room today. I can see it all going down here. Wow. We love you too, Karen. Okay. Trivia answer was, in fact, Dwight D. Eisenhower, and you got it right. In his 1961 farewell address, he warned America about the growing power of the military-industrial complex. A warning that still rings true today. Moving into our next question of the evening before our next segment. Which 1992 event sparked riots after LAPD officers were acquitted in Los Angeles? A. Rodney King beating verdict. B. O.J. Simpson arrest. C. Proposition 187 passage. Or D. The Northridge earthquake. I know the answer. I think you guys do too. But we're going to get your official response from the poll after this segment. So stick around, and we are moving right along. Yesterday, we showed you the footage. Mayor Karen Bass storming into MacArthur Park, physically confronting federal agents demanding that they leave. Well, the backlash has been swift and brutal. Calls for her arrest are exploding across social media. Officials are now openly discussing obstruction charges. And the Border Patrol Union released a scathing statement. She crossed a line no elected official should cross. What started as a routine MS-13 raid has become a constitutional crisis. The question isn't whether she interfered. We all saw it. The question is what happens next. Will the DOJ actually charge a sitting mayor? We all want to see it. A sanctuary city is about to face federal consequences that they never imagined. It's about time, I think. Now, the precedent is being set, and it changes everything, so keep on watching. Now, as federal agents battle sanctuary city politicians protecting cartels, your body battles aging every single day. By age 40, collagen production drops significantly, leading to wrinkles, sagging skin, and joint pain. That's why I use ageless multi-collagen in my smoothies. 5 key types from 4 premium sources, hydrolyzed for maximum absorption, no clumping, no odor, just smooth blending into your morning routine. 0 GMOs, antibiotics, or artificial ingredients, just clean collagen that works. Every order helps feed hungry children through nokidhungry.org. Get 51% off plus free shipping, a 60-day guarantee, lifetime coaching, and a free skincare ebook. Visit healthwithgary.com and reclaim your youth today. You'll find it linked down in the description. Okay, so we played the footage yesterday. Karen Bass making a fool of herself. That helicopter footage, yeah, it went viral. Well, now we have CBP Sector Chief Greg Bovino, who told LA Mayor Karen Bass to get used to us.
For Karen Bass. The federal government is not leaving LA. I don't work for Karen Bass. The federal government doesn't work for Karen Bass. We're going to be here till that mission's accomplished, as I said, and better get used to us now because this is going to be normal very soon.
Karen Bass, you better accept the new normal. Bill Maloogian, 24 hours ago, we are with hundreds of federal agents and military as a massive federal immigration enforcement operation is underway in MacArthur Park, sanctuary city of Los Angeles, an area with heavy MS-13 influence. Mayor Bass has demanded the raid stop. Feds respond with one of the largest yet, including Border Patrol agents on horseback, protesters already showing up. So here are some of the shots that went down at MacArthur Park yesterday when Karen Bass decided to show up and try to stop this entire operation of these folks just trying to keep Los Angeles safe. Now, let's take a look at what the border czar, Tom Homan, had to say, discussing the rhetoric that we have heard from the left. As you know, there was a shooting, an ICE agent. Well, now we have his reaction.
I've been warning about this for 2 months. I think the last time I did the show, Laura, we talked about it. I also talked about it in the Hannity show that I've been around a long time. I said if the rhetoric didn't decrease significantly, it's going to end up with loss of life. It's going to end up with a use of force either against a protester turning criminal or against ICE or Border Patrol agent. Someone's going to be seriously injured if not killed. And of course, the media attacked me. Fear monger Homan. He's threatening that someone's going to die. Look, I've been around a long time. You got members of Congress, Jayapal, comparing them to terrorists. AOC says we're out there violating people's civil and constitutional rights. You got Jeffries out there running his mouth about the Gestapo. And it just the ramped up rhetoric is going to cause a situation where someone loses their life. We saw that today. I was hoping I'd be wrong, but I wasn't. And I'll tell you something else. It's not the end. Unless we stop the hateful rhetoric against ICE and Border Patrol, comparing them to Nazis, there's going to be more situations like that. ICE has already stepped up enforcement posture at their facilities. Border Patrol's done the same thing. But the rhetoric has to stop. They're simply enforcing law that Congress enacted. So for Congress to attack them, to enforcing the laws they wrote, it's ridiculous. It's going to end in bloodshed. And I think there will be more bloodshed.
Oh, my goodness. He says it's going to end in more bloodshed. Here is the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, one of my favorite members of the administration, always sharp, razor sharp with his rhetoric, talking on Jesse Waters' show, Fox.
Enforcement has to leave. There is an insurrectionist movement in the Democratic Party that is inspiring domestic terrorism against ICE. When you have the mayor of Los Angeles mobilizing agitators, mobilizing the mob against ICE, saying that federal law enforcement has to leave her city, This is a settled constitutional question. Federal law is the supreme law of the land. You cannot nullify it. You cannot succeed from it. It is the law of the United States of America. So these insurrectionist Democrats are every day engaging in rhetoric that is incentivizing, that is encouraging, that is fomenting violent terrorist attacks against ICE and ICE officers. Not only in the shootings that you've seen recently, but ICE officers are being doxxed. Their families and children are being threatened. Their addresses are being posted online. They are being subjected to a campaign of terror by these radical Democrats. There is an insurrectionist movement.
Oh, yeah. We're watching it all unfold. Here we have more from Stephen Miller exposing the real reason Democrats are promoting war against ICE and immigration.
Why, Jesse? What is this all about? This is the central struggle in the West. The Democrat Party's objective is to flood the West with millions upon millions of illegals from the developing world, from the poor nations of the world, the failed states of the world, the collapsing states of the world, believing that in so doing, they will collapse the West. They will collapse the middle class. They will collapse the population that has lived here before the migrants came. And in so doing, they think in the rubble of that, they can rule. They can sit on top of the pile of ashes. Ask yourself this: why is it that Democrats are so insistent that unlimited numbers of illegals from countries that are incapable of managing their own affairs come here? Countries like Somalia, countries like Haiti, countries that have no history of successful self-government, and they want unlimited numbers of illegals from those countries and refugees from those countries to come with no chance at the pace, the scale, the scope of arrivals at being able to assimilate and integrate into the American way of life. What has it done to our schools? What has it done to our hospitals? What has it done to just traffic in our cities? Every issue that affects our quality of life, Jesse, public safety, drugs, crime, education, healthcare, waiting in the emergency room, are all exacerbated, worsened, and undermined by mass illegal immigration. ICE officers are heroes, and they need the support of the American people. President Trump is liberating our towns, just as he was promised, just as the American people overwhelmingly voted to give him a mandate to do just 5 months ago. Why, Jesse?
Unreal. Here's MacArthur Park. Children don't play here, says Jamels. It's full of drug addicts overdosing. Children would love to play here, but you enabled drug addicts and criminals. And you could see, I'm not even going to play that. Mayor Karen Bass arriving at MacArthur Park. Here's some footage that is from the ground. Now, we showed you the footage yesterday of the helicopter shot. Here's the footage from the ground. They're saying, Paul Zapula says, she arrives at MacArthur Park, where federal agents are raiding and demands for them to leave right now. She has zero jurisdiction in the matter involving deportations and is interfering. Arrest Bass now.
I am going to say.
Mayor Bass, I need to get my phone and we're departing.
Okay. All right. Mayor Bass.
Mayor Bass.
Oh my
Any
God.
comment, Mayor Bass?
Thank you.
Mayor Bass, any comment?
Yes, my comment is they need to leave, and they need to leave right now. They need to leave because this is unacceptable.
Who did you speak with?
Just wait and see.
Mayor Bass,
They will be leaving soon.
Mayor Bass, who did you speak with on the phone just now? Who did you speak with on the phone?
The head of customs.
Wow.
I am going to say.
Mayor Bass, I need to get my phone and we're departing.
Okay. All right. Mayor Bass.
Mayor Bass.
Oh my
Any
God.
comment, Mayor Bass? Mayor Bass, any comment?
Yes, my comment is that
He said, I need my phone back. We are departing. Did you hear that? She was successful in interfering. Unbelievable. And how did she pull that off? I'd love to know. Okay, let's see. This is footage from today. Minutes before, there were more than 20 kids playing, then the military comes through. This is Karen Bass. There were more than 20 kids playing, then the military comes through. The second I heard about this, I went to the park to speak to the person in charge, tell them they need to end it now. Outrageous. Well, we just showed you what that one person said. Children don't play here. Now, continuing. on what else is happening. Acting U.S. Attorney Nancy Larson announced attempted murder charges against 10 individuals involved in a coordinated attack on ICE officers in Alvarado, Texas. A planned ambush.
Individuals. We're here to tell you that late at night on July 4th, Friday night at approximately 10:37 p.m. at the Prairieland ICE Detention Center in Alvarado, Texas, 10 to 12 individuals dressed in black military-style clothing began shooting fireworks and engaging in acts of vandalism at the facility. And this was part of an organized attack. Today, my office has charged 10 individuals with 3 counts of attempted murder of a federal officer. Each of the 10 are also charged with 3 counts of discharging a firearm in relation to a crime of violence. Each of these defendants faces a mandatory prison term of 10 years and up to life in prison. An additional co-conspirator was charged with obstruction of justice and conspiracy for attempting to conceal and destroy evidence in relation to the attack, and he faces up to 10 years in prison. Let's discuss the incident. It was a planned ambush with the intent to kill ICE corrections officers. Make no mistake, this was not a so-called peaceful protest. It was indeed an ambush. We're here to tell you that
ambush on ICE officials. ICE, 10 people charged for a planned ambush. Here they are. Yep. Maybe you should have thought twice. So, if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is right now. So why does this all matter? It's because we've crossed the Rubicon. Yesterday's footage of Bass physically obstructing federal agents isn't just shocking, it's the evidence. The backlash proves America will not tolerate elected officials acting like cartel protectors. Federal prosecutors are circling. The Border Patrol Union wants action, and millions are demanding accountability. It's not about immigration policy anymore. It's about whether mayors can physically block federal law enforcement. Now, if Bass walks away from this without charges, every sanctuary city mayor will feel emboldened to do the same. Next time, it won't just be a verbal confrontation. It could be physical resistance. So the precedent that we set today determines whether we have law for all or whether Democrat mayors get to play by different rules. MacArthur Park was the test case. What happens to Karen Bass decides whether federal authority means anything in sanctuary states. So the question remains, should obstruction charges be filed immediately? Yes or no? Sound off below. And show where you stand with Next News gear. The link's in the description. Auto Pen, President Auto Pen gear, Next News hat, MAGA Avengers gear, Alligator Alcatraz, American Badass. Trigger a liberal today and support the network by going to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Okay, no super chats to speak of. We're at $41.99. Are we going to crack $50 tonight? Wouldn't that be something? What's up, June? Been following you for years. Right on. What's up, Jackie from North Carolina? Carlos, had a blast there. Deport Basses, Karen. Yeah. Bondi and Captain Bongino, disappointment, says 2 sweets. Yep, you guys are on the point. You guys see it. I see it too. The super chats are on Bondi's desk. What are you guys saying? I was born for a storm and its calm does not suit me. Andrew Jackson, I love it. Gary, grandson got a birthday, so this month money goes to grandson. I will get back soon. Thank you, Alice. I appreciate that. Let's see. Okay, so let's get to our trivia answer. You guys said it was Rodney King. You were correct. The 1992 acquittal of 4 LAPD officers sparked 6 days of riots, resulting in 63 deaths. Goodness. Unbelievable. Okay, let's get to our next trivia question before our fourth topic of the evening. Which 1965 law abolished national origin quotas and transformed U.S. immigration? Was it A, the McCarran-Walter Act, the B, the Hart-Celler Act, C, the Chinese Exclusion Repeal, or D, the Refugee Act? 1965. Man, I have no idea. No idea on this one. I'm going to lean on you guys. I hope you guys get this one right. You guys can answer in the poll. Let's see what you guys are saying right now in real time. You guys are saying, so far, Chinese Exclusion Repeal. Oh, Refugee Act, you're saying. 64, 58%, 56%, Refugee Act. That's where the poll is going. Oh. Looks like the Refugee Act is leading the charge. We're going to find out after the segment. This next story is pretty scary. So make sure you tell someone to tune in right now. Steve Bannon saw it coming. While America fixated on Epstein revelations, something sinister crept through the shadows. Mass amnesty. Not from Democrats, of course, we would expect that. But whispers suggest that even some Republicans are now cutting deals. Charlie Kirk exposed the call for amnesty months ago. Tim Walz echoed it, standard Democrat playbook, but now reports are surfacing that this betrayal might actually be bipartisan. Now remember, we voted for deportation, not capitulation. We demanded enforcement, not amnesty. And of course, they dropped the Epstein bombshell precisely when these backroom negotiations heated up. Was that a distraction? Well, Bannon says no, it's misdirection. Now, a magic trick where they wave scandal in your right hand while signing away sovereignty with the left? Well, the evidence is damning, so keep watching. Don't look away. Now, have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? Well, I did recently see a video, and I was shocked. He's in his 80s, and he's still kicking butt, working out, staying active. What's even more shocking is he's stronger. He can work out longer, even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did this by making one change, and he says he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife started doing it, and she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger, her body leaner, and she has energy all day. Chuck made a special video that explains everything. So make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/next. It is linked down below. It'll change the way you think about your health. So what is going on with amnesty? Yeah, people are freaking out. And we have it here. Here it is, the amnesty. Okay, so 8 hours ago, Stephen Chung posted, "Trust in Trump. No amnesty." There's the post. Here is President Trump responding at the cabinet meeting earlier today.
Strategic way.
There's no amnesty. What we're doing is we're getting rid of criminals, but we are doing a work program. Do you want to explain that, please?
Yeah, this morning we talked about, of course, this was a top of mind question. This morning we talked about protecting the farmers and the farmland, but obviously this president's vision of no amnesty, mass deportation continues, but in a strategic way, and then ensuring that our farmers have the labor that they need. Secretary Chavez-Durimer has been a leader on this. Obviously, this comes out of the Labor Department, but moving toward automation, ensuring that our farmers have that workforce, and moving toward an American workforce. So all of the above.
We want to give the farmers the people they need, but we're not talking amnesty. There's no amnesty.
We are not talking amnesty. So I want to get to the clip here. 16 hours ago, Bannon sounded the alarm. They dropped the Epstein news as a misdirection while the world's eyes turned to the Epstein revelations. The real agenda crept in the shadows. Mass amnesty for illegal immigrants, a backroom deal they hope MAGA wouldn't notice.
And it's Monday, 7 July, Year of the Lord 2025. You heard Charlie Kirk today on fire on his show on Real America's Voice and across the nation on radio, and he's got his podcast, all of it. part of that's in response to there's word out that how possibly did they do the Epstein announcement last night. And there is word out behind the scenes that, oh, it was a misdirection play to get everybody to bounce as they try to force President Trump to do some mass amnesty. But guess what? MAGA can walk and chew gum at the same time. There's a lot of activity going on with the Epstein situation, finding out exactly what's going on. Tom Fitton's on it. All these different groups are on it. And I think you'll see developments on that, hopefully, in the next couple.
Now, I want to find the Charlie Kirk. Here it is. Okay, this is Charlie Kirk sounding the alarm, reporting that Trump mass amnesty is about to occur for millions. Was the Epstein news dropped to distract us from this? There's always something else dropping. We did not vote for amnesty. We voted for mass deportation. Now, Charlie talks about the people who called him to warn him about the Republicans in the back rooms of Washington, D.C., trying to push for mass amnesty. This is not what we want.
On July 3rd, as I am doing this broadcast, and this is bigger than anything with Epstein, this is bigger than anything with tax cuts. It is happening right now in Washington, D.C. And I can say this from firsthand experience, that people are pushing President Trump for amnesty. They are pushing him for mass legalization of illegals. President Donald Trump, of course, would never push for amnesty. But President Donald Trump said something at a rally on July 3rd, and my phone lit up like you wouldn't imagine. President Donald Trump was talking about potentially doing a bipartisan compromise deal for illegals that have stolen Social Security numbers, that are illegally domiciling themselves here in the country, that are all felons. Every single one of them are felons. They're just not yet indicted felons. But if they're here illegally, you're a felon. It's against federal law. We've gone through all the different federal laws that you break by being here. And this is President Donald Trump speaking at the Iowa rally saying that we might need to do some form, he didn't use the word amnesty, but some form of soft amnesty. And I could tell you now through other reporting that I've been able to do and phone calls, there is a major push right now to do a bipartisan amnesty deal, a major push. People are trying to push the president. Hey, you got the money for ICE. Now we need to go move to the middle on immigration. Play cut 258.
People have worked for on a farm for 14, 15 years, and they get thrown out pretty viciously, and we can't do it. We got to work with the farmers and people that have hotels and leisure properties too. We're going to work with them, and we're going to work very strong and smart, and we're going to put you in charge. We're going to make you responsible. And I think that that's going to make a lot of people happy. Now, serious radical right people, who I also happen to like a lot, they may not be quite as happy, but they'll understand, won't they? Do you think they'll understand that? You're the one that brought this whole situation up. Brooke Rollins brought it up, and she said, so we have a little problem. The farmers are losing a lot of people. And we figured it out, and we have some great stuff being written, and let the farmers be responsible.
Let the farmers be responsible. Look, I trust President Trump's instincts 100% here, but there is a group of people that are pushing President Trump very hard to stop the deportation effort and to try to have some sort of a come to the table moment of a bipartisan compromise. That we need to try to figure out how to make these people have a pathway to citizenship.
How dare you?
Now, this is not by any means a knock on President Trump. It is a knock on people that are trying to pressure President Trump and pressure him hard. We don't know any of the details, but President Trump did say that the radical right people that he has a soft spot for wouldn't like this. Hello, hi, I'm one of those radical right people. And I want to know what I'm not going to like. Because of all the different stuff that's in front of us, if you want to break our coalition, go and push amnesty. That right there would be a complete collapse of everything that we have worked for. Everything. So we don't know any details, but it looks as if President Trump might be in preliminary discussions. And I could tell you that there are many different discussions that I've had with people, and they are pushing it hard to create some kind of amnesty proposal aimed specifically at farm laborers in the United States. But it's more than that.
You heard what President Trump said. Now, if you remember what Pelosi said, who's going to pick our corn? Who's going to pick our crops? So you got these ICE raids going on across the country. And you do have a very large illegal population that are going and doing that labor. And the farmers are going, man, we're going to lose all of our labor. I mean, come on. How much are they paying these guys? It's practically slave labor. Cash under the table. And if you heard also, President Trump slipped in that hospitality and leisure. He's talking about the people who are in, housekeeping, restaurants. I mean, there's a lot of restaurants that are getting raided. And it's hurting these businesses. Well, they shouldn't have hired these people to begin with. So clearly there is a move, a lot of pressure being put on Trump from those sectors. And as you heard, the first clip I played, Trump was asked about it, clearly in response to the word Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon, and others are saying. They're sounding the alarm. Kirk's calling it soft amnesty. Stephen Chung says there is no amnesty. They're not going to call it. What do they call it? Are you going to give these people temporary work permits? How is that going to work if they're illegal? I mean, we want, if you are illegal in this country, come back and do it the right way. So clearly there is a direct pressure campaign on President Trump from these sectors to keep these people working. And Charlie Kirk's getting the inside scoop, and he's spilling the beans.
It could be hotels. It could be leisure properties. We've heard the arguments about this for years. Well, the crops are going to rot in the fields. There'll be starvation. But here's the...
You said people are going to die?
I haven't even seen this clip yet. And this is exactly what I'm saying.
Main thing that you need to know. We've tried this before. This is not some sort of new thing. And by the way, just so we are clear, I went to an event this last weekend in San Diego. J.D. Vance was there. And another person came up and said, Charlie, do you know what we need? We need to have some sort of pathway citizenship for 25 people. I said, are you guys on all some sort of group chat or something?
How dare you?
Are you guys all just coordinating? We have not even 48 hours of the largest investment in border security, deportation, and ICE. And why are you pitching me on mass amnesty? Like, what is that all about? There's a lot of reasons for this, and one of which is the corporate class is deathly afraid that they might actually have to hire Americans and pay a higher wage.
I just said that.
Somehow other countries are able to grow food without imported serf labor. How are they able to do that? I don't know. Apparently, we have built so many parts of our economy to be reliant on foreign criminal invaders that have come into this country. And some people, we have to allow farmers to transition. No, you deport them back to their country of origin. All of them. We did not run on mass amnesty. We ran on mass deportations. As I am...
Wow. Here is Jack Posobiec. MAGA is always ready to fight. No amnesty.
Fighters. So if we...
This is not an easy time for MAGA to get their heads around the consistent theme here.
Oh, Piers, what are you talking about? I love a fight. I'm always ready for a fight. And MAGA is always made of fighters. So if we got to fight, if we're coming. And by the way, Charlie Kirk is out there today saying that there's a huge push for amnesty of these, the farm workers. And this was something that was mentioned at the rally over the weekend in Iowa, or I guess just before the weekend in Iowa. And so, look, if there's going to be a fight, then we're more than ready for a fight. And I know that I certainly am. And I'm not going.
But don't you have to know what you're really fighting for?
I'm fighting for the country. I'm fighting for America first.
No, I get that. But are you fighting for deportations
yes.
of every illegal immigrant in the United States, if that means
yes.
that farms close all over the United States, for example?
Yes, it is 100% across the board. When we were at the RNC in Milwaukee, we had mass deportations now signs. And by the way, that doesn't necessarily mean that they all need to be arrested. And I know that people have been crunching the numbers and saying, oh, you know, if you do this many arrests a day and that many, I think that self-deportations are something that really need to be worked on. I think the remittance tax that went through in the big, beautiful bill should have been higher. 1% is too low in my estimation. I think that should be 5%, 10%, or even 50%, because in some of these cases, that's exactly what's going on, is that they're here for economic reasons in the United States. And so if you put that...
But doesn't the United States economy need a lot of them? I mean, isn't this the whole point about the farmer debate, is that actually farmers have gone to Trump in big numbers and said, if you deport every illegal, undocumented worker in the country, we're out of business.
Well, look, you know, there can be a way for this to be done in a phased manner where they can get people in, and over time, it's not like it has to be, we're going to snap our fingers overnight and they're going to be gone, but absolutely, over time, 100%.
This is not an easy...
Let's go back to what the president said in the meeting today.
Question.
There's no amnesty. What we're doing is we're getting rid of criminals, but we are doing a work program. Do you want to explain that?
Yeah, this morning we talked about, of course, this was a top of mind question. This morning we talked about protecting the farmers and the farmland, but obviously this president's vision of no amnesty, mass deportation continues, but in a strategic way, and then ensuring that our farmers have the labor that they need. Secretary Chavez-Durimer has been a leader on this. Obviously this comes out of the Labor Department, but moving toward automation, ensuring that our farmers have that workforce, and moving toward an American workforce. So all of the above.
Farmers, the people they need, but we're not talking amnesty. There's no.
Yeah, they're not going to call it amnesty. So if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So here's why it matters, because amnesty is forever. Once you legalize millions of illegals, there's no going back, no deportation, no sovereignty, just permanent transformation of America into something unrecognizable. So we've seen this movie before. Reagan's 1986 amnesty promised border security that never came. Now they want to run the same scam, using Epstein headlines as cover while they betray MAGA, everything that we voted for. So think about it. Cheap labor for corporations, permanent Democrat voters, and the complete erosion of American identity. All wrapped in a comprehensive immigration reform lie. And of course, Bannon is right. The timing is no accident. Drop a scandal, push through amnesty, hope nobody notices until it's too late. But we're watching, we're awake, and we won't accept betrayal from either party. So here is the question. Would you support primarying any Republican who votes for soft amnesty? Yes or no? Make sure you grab your American badass gear from our shop, or Alligator Alcatraz, or President Autopen, MAGA Avengers. Trigger a liberal at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and show them where you stand. Okay, a couple super chats come through. Yo, all right. Curio 23. Great work at NATO, Gary. Thank you. Appreciate that. What do you get, he says, when you cross a snowman with a vampire? Frostbite. Man, the dad jokes never stop with this guy. I'm going to have to do that one on my kids, though. Thanks, though. I appreciate it. $5. All right, Nancy, she says, are we kicking China out? Well, I think we are. Yeah, big move. Kicking them out from our farmland. Thank you, Nancy, for that $20 bill. Put that right here in the jar where it belongs with everybody else's. And, oh, Kevin Schmidt has just become a member. Welcome to the family. All right, let's get to that answer, because I'm curious. You guys said it was the Refugee Act. Yeah, it was the Hart-Celler Act. This 1965 law eliminated national origin quotas, fundamentally changing America's demographic future. Who knew? Okay, moving to our next trivia question as we go into our final segment of the evening. Who said, "Speak softly and carry a big stick" about American foreign policy? Was it A, Theodore Roosevelt, B, Franklin Roosevelt, C, William McKinley, or D, Woodrow Wilson? I believe I know the answer to this one. I'm not going to give it away. I want to see what you guys think. Poll will be up shortly, so you can cast your vote. I can see you all already dropping your answers in the chat room. Oh, yeah. I think you guys are onto something here. But we're going to find out. The votes are coming in, and you guys are already saying it is Theodore Roosevelt. And Fish Slayer, I'm so sick of idiots who have microphones in their faces. Isn't what they're saying treasonous? Depends who's saying it. Okay. Two fronts, one mission. Total American dominance. While Biden sold our farmland to China, Trump just announced the most aggressive crackdown on Communist Party property ownership in U.S. history. Every CCP-linked farm, especially near military bases, gone, finally. But that is just the home front. Abroad, B-2 stealth bombers flew 37 hours straight in Operation Midnight Hammer. More details coming in from that secret operation, delivering precision strikes that had Iran begging for meetings. Trump's response, we'll talk, but from a position of absolute strength. This is not diplomacy through weakness. It is peace through power. From securing our soil to projecting might worldwide, Trump's executing a masterclass in America First warfare. No more silent invasions, no more empty threats, just results. Now watch closely. And as Trump fights to reclaim American farmland from foreign control, there is another threat to our food supply: the collapse of bee populations. The good people at Patriot Bee Best have created an educational sanctuary addressing this critical issue. These American veterans, they understand that bees aren't just insects. They are essential to our natural food chain and our national security. For less than 17 cents a day, you can support bee restoration and this show. Join the Hive at patriotbeebest.com with promo code NEXTNEWS for 25% off. Learn how honeybees benefit our food sovereignty. Discover bee-friendly initiatives and help restore America's agricultural independence. That's patriotbeebest.com. We thank them for their sponsorship. You'll find them linked down below. Now, let's find out what is going on in this two-front war. Here it is. Where's Todd? I see 5_2 front war. Okay. Yeah. I'm looking for 5.1 and you have 5-2. Very confusing. Brian, please edit this out. Okay. So this just in, the Trump administration has just announced a complete and total crackdown on Chinese Communist Party-linked ownership of farmland nationwide. Eric Darty reporting this is existential. We've been talking about this for a long time. All of this property being bought up around military bases owned by the Chinese. Why would they want that? Oh, we can only guess. Meanwhile, you got balloons floating over the country. Well, they have now declared we're taking back our American farmland. Check this out.
Today, we are taking this purpose and our American farmland back. American agriculture is not just about feeding our families, but about protecting our nation and standing up to foreign adversaries who are buying our farmland, stealing our research, and creating dangerous vulnerabilities in the very systems that sustain us. reshoring and nearshoring our food and agriculture supply chain is essential for our nation's security. In coordination with the White House, the Departments of Treasury, Defense, Homeland Security, and Justice, as well as state governors, state agriculture commissioners, local, tribal, and territorial governments, today we announced the USDA's National Farm Security Action Plan. This plan includes 7 key action items, and there's a lot of people here that I want you to hear from, so I'm not going to go one by one, but just very quickly. It's on our website. The press has gotten a preview of it, and we can ask some questions once we finish the main program. But very quickly, and perhaps the most important, the first of the 7 is securing and protecting American farmland ownership. Actively engaging at every level of government to take swift legislative and executive action to ban the purchase of American farmland by Chinese nationals and other foreign adversaries. Standing on the shoulders of great governors, 3 of whom are standing behind me, who have already been leading the way on this issue. And at the federal government level, working to do everything within our ability, including presidential authorities, to claw back what has already been purchased by China and other foreign adversaries. Additionally, working with the Treasury.
How the hell did they let that happen? I mean, these guys, whoever approved these deals, sleep at the wheel. You don't, these guys are linked to the Chinese Communist Party. They want to buy up all this land next to our missile silos. Yeah, let them buy it. Sure. Who does this? Traitors. That's who. And finally, President Trump addressing this. We've been screaming about this for years, literally for years, as the farmland just kept getting bought up, parcel by parcel by parcel. I mean, Dr. Phil was talking about it. Okay? Dr. Phil. My goodness.
The Secretary of the Treasury, along with our Defense Department, on memorandums to ensure that moving forward, there is a much more intentional look at who is buying what in this country and from where they are in the world. Today, we are...
Finally, here is the Secretary of Defense, Hegseth, says he is joining in on the crackdown of China-owned farmland.
Who owns the land? I want to know who owns the land around our bases and strategic bases, and getting an understanding of why foreign entities, foreign companies, foreign individuals might be buying up land around those bases. That's something I should be paying attention to on behalf of the American people, on behalf of my department, and on behalf of the president. It's common sense. And so food security, just like energy resilience, just like where we get our water, that's all national security, especially in a contingency. So we would be asleep at the wheel if we were not fully a party to an effort like this to ensure that our nation had the food supply it needs. But specifically, our troops have what they need on our bases, so that in those moments you can rely on us here in the United States to provide that security. So no longer can foreign adversaries assume we're not watching, and we're not paying attention, and we're not doing something about it, because we are. So, Brooke, thank you very much. I want to know...
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Here's Special Envoy Steve Witkoff 24 hours ago talking about a peace deal in Gaza. This is on a different front, equally as important.
Mr. President, there was an incident in northern Gaza today, right around the time that the Prime Minister was meeting with Secretary of State. This was Steve Witkoff. Does that, in a number of IDF soldiers reportedly have been injured, possibly killed, does that in any way put a wrinkle in ceasefire negotiations with Hamas?
I don't think so. They want it. They want to meet, and they want to have that ceasefire. So I don't think so. Steve, could you respond to this? You know about it?
Well, I think it's terribly unfortunate. Terribly unfortunate. We were just talking about it, how tragic it is, but we have an opportunity to finally get a peace deal, Mr. Prime Minister, as we discussed, and I'm hopeful for it very quickly.
Now, as you know, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Washington, D.C. today, conveniently the day after they closed the file on Epstein, who everyone says was a Israeli intelligence asset. But I digress. At least there is a discussion of peace on the table here. Now, you guys know about those B-2 bombers? Well, here's President Trump talking about Iran.
Support. You asserted that there's complete and total destruction of their nuclear facilities. So what is the basis of the talks going forward? Is it to cap future nuclear activity? Is it ballistic missiles, terror support, economic-based opportunities? What are the
It's really a good question, because you remember when it was done, I sort of said, what's the purpose of talking? It's been knocked out completely. But they've requested a meeting, and I'm going to go to a meeting, and if we can put something down on paper, that will be fine. That'll be good. I think they've gained a lot of respect for us. I think they've gained a lot of respect for Israel also. But they would like to meet, and we're going to have a meeting. Steve, when is that meeting going to be? Do you want to say?
Rather, very quickly, in the next week or so.
So we'll see what happens. I think it would be nice to memorialize it, put it down, but because of the incredible result of that attack, if you want to call it an attack, I didn't think it was necessary to have it in writing. I think we spoke. I mean, that speaks much louder than writing. But I can also understand why they'd want it. And they've been very nice. They've been very respectful. And it began by them telling us about 14 they had to do. You know what 14 represents, right? Do you know what 14 represents? Right? You know that, right? The number of bombs dropped. So it was, representative. We got them all.
So, looks like talks with Iran are going to commence within the next couple of weeks. Here's a reporter asking a question. What might make you have the desire to do another strike on Iran?
Do that.
On future Iran strikes, what might make you have the desire to do another strike on Iran?
Another what?
Another strike on Iran.
I hope we're not going to have to do that. I can't imagine wanting to do that. I can't imagine them wanting to do it. They want to meet. They want to work something out.
Can you say
they're different. They're very different now than they were 2 weeks ago.
On future Iran strikes,
they're very different than they were. Here we have President Trump talking about India and Pakistan, Rwanda and Congo.
Rwanda, well, I hope so. Look, we did a job with India and Pakistan and Serbia, Kosovo, and Rwanda and the Congo, and this was all over the last 3 weeks or so, Marco, right? We did, and others that were ready to fight, and we stopped a lot of fights. I think a very big one, frankly, a very, very big one was India and Pakistan. And we stopped that over trade. We're dealing with India and we're dealing with Pakistan, and we say we're not going to be dealing with you at all if you're going to fight. And they were maybe at a nuclear stage. They're both, nuclear powers. And I think stopping that was very important. We're trying to help out with a Biden-created monster, this whole thing that's happening with Russia and Ukraine. It's a horrible thing, and I'm not happy with President Putin at all. But this is something that would have never happened if I were president. This is a war that was never going to happen. Go ahead. Well, I hope so. Look, we did it.
Moving right along here. Here is the Secretary of Defense discussing Operation Midnight Hammer.
From those B-2 pilots, truly a historic mission.
Now, this is from the cabinet meeting just a few hours ago.
Truly a historic mission and demonstrated the skill and courage of the United States military. From those B-2 pilots and families that we had a chance to meet, sir, to the fighter pilots, to the refuelers, to the maintainers, to the air defenders who defended the base. What was demonstrated on the world stage was American military might and capability. And it wasn't just Fordo and Esfahan and Natanz that took notice in Iran. It was the rest of the world. That we have a decisive commander-in-chief willing to use these capabilities, which are the best in the world. As the president pointed out, no one else could have done what America did there on that night. And everyone took notice of that. The one big beautiful bill, sir, we've got $150 billion additional to invest in Golden Dome and all the other weapon systems and stockpiles and shipbuilding priorities of yours. Another month, another historic recruiting bump. It's not just the Army and the Marine Corps anymore. It's the Navy, the Air Force, and the Space Force, all historically ahead of where they've ever been. So historic spirit inside the military. We had a chance to be at NATO, Marco and I, and see how the world responds to us saying it's time for you to shoulder the burden and take the lead for your continent. That only happens with President Trump leading, and we're proud to be a part of what's going on at the border, sir, with now a fourth national defense area where we're helping get to that number 0 and securing the border. But that mission, Operation Midnight Hammer, re-established deterrence. It reversed what happened in Afghanistan. You saw the debacle of what Biden allowed to happen in Afghanistan, and what that did to our image. President Trump said, with Operation Midnight Hammer, we're re-establishing American leadership and deterrence, and we're proud to be a part of it, sir.
Here is President Trump talking about those B-2 bombers.
Days. It was a perfect military performance, the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, if you compare that to the same country, the hostages from years ago, Jimmy Carter, was unfortunate for Jimmy. He was a nice man, but with the helicopters going down, the sandstorms, the prisoners, they got captured, then the election, and the prisoners, and Reagan, and all the problems. It was nothing but problems. And that was a failure. And ours was not only the pilots. I mean, those machines flew for 37 straight hours. They didn't stop. They went skedaddle. You know the word skedaddle? It means skedaddle. They dropped the bombs, and somebody said, skedaddle. Let's get the hell out of here. And every bomb hit its mark and hit it incredibly. And as you know, the Atomic Energy Commission said it's gone. That place is gone. We had a lot of fake reporting, mostly from CNN, where the scammer a writer for CNN, who should be fired, by the way, she was involved with the 51 fake intelligence agents, if you remember that. She did that story, created a story out of it. She created a story out of the laptop from hell, saying it came from Russia, but it actually came from Hunter Biden's bedroom, or worse. Just a scammer, and she's still at CNN, which is pretty amazing. But we'll ask you a question about her. But they came up with this concept that maybe the attack wasn't that good. Maybe and I saw it happen right after the attack. I saw this person on CNN. I like to watch the enemy. You learn from the enemy and watch, because you have to know where they're coming from. And I watched her say, Anderson, I'm hearing stories that maybe they didn't hit their target. Maybe it wasn't that good a hit. And they were hearing stories. The next day it was a little more, and the next day a little more. After 3-4 days, she was saying, I don't know. I don't think it was that. Except by that time, everybody knew it was hit perfectly. The evidence is in the planes. The pilots are the best evidence. But they actually came out of their plane, because they were here the other day, and they said, it was so sad. We did such a good job. We flew into very dangerous airspace. I'll never forget, we were in the Situation Room, and they said they have entered Iranian airspace, and everyone took a deep breath, because they had more missiles pointed at them, but the equipment is so good, it's stealth, way up in the air, and it was stealth, and they went right through that, and they by the time they found out they were there, they were already gone. That was the word skedaddle, get the hell out of here. But they were right in the most dangerous airspace in the world, and they took those big, beautiful, very fast, they're unbelievable planes. I mean, they become really beautiful works of art. I always thought they sort of were cool, but now they look better than just cool, don't they, huh? But they dropped the loads, and literally they would hit, if you look at this table, from here to there, they had a half a refrigerator door is the way to best explain it. Take a refrigerator door, average size, cut it in half. That was their target. They hit every single one. Then we had 30 missiles, Tomahawk, shot from submarines 300 miles away. Every one of them hit their target. It was a perfect mission. Then they came back, almost 37 hours. Every plane worked perfectly. The mechanics were here too. I said, you got to get the mechanics here. We didn't have any problems. It was a perfect...
Oh, man, can you believe that? Being in that situation room in that moment. Okay, I want to do one more. Here we have President Trump on Ukraine. That's got to end.
That was a war that should have never happened, and a lot of people are dying, and it should end. And I don't know, we get
we get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless. That was.
So if you got value for this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So why does it matter? Because sovereignty is not negotiable. When Chinese companies buy farmland near military installations, that's not investment, it's infiltration. When our food supply depends on foreign ownership, that's not trade, it's surrender. Trump gets it. Every acre seized back is a victory for national security. Meanwhile, Operation Midnight Hammer sent a message heard from Tehran to Beijing. American military might is back. And those B-2s didn't just destroy nuclear sites. They destroyed the myth of American decline. And now Iran wants to talk? In a couple of weeks? Of course they do. Because strength commands respect. Weakness invites war. And that's what we saw with the last administration. Look at all the wars that erupted under Biden. Well, Trump is delivering. The two-front strategy is working. Secure the homeland, project power abroad. No more selling out to China while apologizing to Iran and sending pallets of cash. This is what America First looks like in action. So here is the question. Should all foreign ownership of U.S. farmland be banned permanently? Yes or no? Sound off below. And you can support American strength. Grab some Next News gear from our shop and trigger a little with an alligator Alcatraz shirt, President Otto pen, and check out our American Badass series at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Okay, no new super chats to speak of at the moment. Okay, let's see what you guys said here. You guys are talking about the rent too damn high. Okay, what is the answer? You guys said it was A, Theodore Roosevelt. You got it right. Theodore Roosevelt, Teddy, his big stick diplomacy philosophy dominated American foreign policy in the early 1900s. Nice. Nice work, guys. You did really well on the polls today. Congratulations. Okay, let's see what is going on in the main news feed. Check, check, check. What is this? Spill the memes. Gotta love the memes. I love the memes. Do you love the memes? The anxious urge to say no worries either way when you're actually worrying both ways plus a secret third way. Okay. Another meme. Declaration memes. Got my son an ankle bracelet so he can match his dad. They grow up so fast. Oh, wow. How funny is that? 5 hours ago, now a liberal Supreme Court justice is trying to teach Justice Ketanji Jackson how this whole judicial thing works. Supreme Court greenlights President Trump's major federal workforce cuts in 19 departments, 8-1. Ketanji Jackson was the dissenting voice. Major victory for President Trump today. What the hell is this? This is in New Mexico 2 hours ago? Homes are being picked up off their foundation and swept away in flash flooding near Rio Reduso River. Oh my. Right Angle News. So Proud Elephant posted this 2 hours ago. Right Angle News posted this at 5:34. Holy cow. Scientists at Princeton University constructed a 3D model of how Eve from the Bible, the first woman created by God, might have looked. What? Really? Okay. Is this a joke? Is that like an actress or something? Let's see here. Oh, God, this is horror. This is, come on. Was Epstein eliminated because he's actually a time traveler? Yeah, right. That's creepy, man. Oh, what's Alex saying?
Throw up, actually. So now by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just, you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. Because I have integrity. And, I just really need the Trump administration to succeed and to save this country. And they're doing so much good. And then for them to do something like this tears my guts out. And so
clearly he's talking about the Epstein cover-up. That's exactly how I feel. Oh, here we go. Some more wins. 2 hours ago, Gunther Eagleman, CIA Director John Ratcliffe has officially referred former CIA Director Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey to the FBI for criminal investigation. Keep it away from Pam Bondi at all costs. Hold them accountable before the statute of limitation expires.
Declassified. All right, following up on our breaking news, Brooke Singman of Fox News Digital has discovered exclusively that the FBI is now investigating the former CIA Director John Brennan and the former FBI Director James Comey in conjunction with the genesis of the Russia investigation. This comes after the CIA declassified last week a report into how that all came about. Let's bring in our panel to talk more about this. Annie Linsky, the White House reporter for the Wall Street Journal, USA Today White House correspondent Francesca Chambers, and Josh Holmes, co-host of the Ruthless podcast and former chief of staff to Senator Mitch McConnell. Annie, start us off here. The fact that the FBI is looking into Brennan and Comey now, when this declassified CIA report came out, people said, will prosecutions follow? We don't know if it'll be a prosecution, but it's an investigation at this point.
Yeah, this is certainly the logical next step.
Yeah, it's about damn time. Simona Papadopoulos breaking FBI now investigating former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey. That's a retweet from me. Repost. Okay. This is a painting of Bill Clinton hanging in Epstein's New York City apartment. Remember, second massive American flag has been installed at the White House. President Trump personally covered the cost. Nice. How beautiful. Oh, here's a note. The second flag is not new. Both flags were installed on June 18th, 2025, both North and South. Okay. Give me a break. Illuminati bot. Jet fuel can melt steel beams. Hey, I don't remember saying that. Okay, that's our show tonight, guys. Robert, Carlos, 10% for the big guy, Minu, Fact Check, Kibbs, Scontech, Trina, Randy, Dave Valks, Duty to Rebel, Goat Biscuit, Michael, Verasto, Nanya, Alice, Curio, Jeremy, Sabrina, Loyalty to Truth. Love you guys, man. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And what a show we have had. We exposed the Epstein cover-up, missing footage, wrong cameras, and a DOJ that can't even deliver basic evidence. Pam Bondi, catastrophic failure, has millions demanding her resignation, while former CIA officers confirm the deep state destroyed the files. We witnessed the big, beautiful bill transforming America, $300 billion in tariff revenue, no tax on tips, Social Security overtime, while Democrats voted against every single provision, and they said...
You said people gonna die?
We saw chaos in Los Angeles, where Mayor Karen Bass physically tried to obstruct federal agents raiding MS-13 strongholds, proving sanctuary cities are in open rebellion against federal law. We uncovered the amnesty deception. Steve Bannon warning that Epstein headlines were dropped as cover for mass amnesty deals being cut in back rooms, not just by Democrats, but whispers of Republican betrayal too. And then we revealed Trump's two-front war, the historic crackdown on Chinese communist farmland ownership while B-2 bombers delivered American might in Operation Midnight Hammer, forcing Iran to beg for meetings. Every topic today connected to one truth. The establishment will use any distraction, any deception, any betrayal to maintain power. But we're not falling for it anymore. So to everybody who sent in super chats tonight, thank you so much. Shout out to Nancy and Curio, Susudio, Fishman, Dr. Luke the Goat, Jacob W., and Craig. You guys make the show electric. Your voices, your passion, your refusal to be silenced, that's what powers the Raw feed. You're the media now. You're the resistance. You're the reason they are panicked. So tell a friend what you learned today. Text them the link. And when the segments drop, share them. Share them on social. Share them on text, because the algorithm cannot stop word of mouth. They're counting on you staying quiet, staying confused, and staying to prove them wrong. If you want to wear your defiance, you can hit our merch shop. We've got Alligator Alcatraz, President Otto Penn, and our American Badass series, letting everyone know exactly where you stand. Every purchase supports independent media that refuses to bow to corporate masters. Thank you to our noble Gold family for protecting Patriots' retirements, the Tuttle twins for saving our kids from indoctrination, to BioTrust for keeping us healthy and strong, and to Chuck Norris for showing us age is just a number. And of course, Patriot Be Best for understanding that food sovereignty starts with protecting our pollinators. We exposed their lies, revealed their schemes, we connected their dots. From the Epstein files, Chinese farmland, from sanctuary insurrection to amnesty betrayal, from tax cuts to military might, this is your news, uncensored and unafraid. We'll be back tomorrow with more explosive revelations. Until then, stay vigilant, stay informed, and stay free. This is Gary Franchi for the Next News Network's Raw feed, and we will see you next time, Patriots.